Who is Lilith, the first woman of Adam? One of the hottest topics you all keep asking me to dive into is Lilith, this mysterious figure who, according to some traditions, was supposedly the first woman of Adam. This topic sparks curiosity across various contexts, from Sunday school classrooms to ancient history debates, feminist groups, and of course, countless videos and discussions on TikTok and other social media. She's a figure that ignites fascination, mystery, and quite a bit of controversy. So, after many requests, I decided to bring this topic here. But, as I always do, I'm going to tackle it my way, exploring the historical perspective, revisiting biblical texts, Jewish traditions, and the ancient cultures that shaped the myth of Lilith. This way, we'll not only understand where this character came from, but also how she became a powerful symbol for some modern groups centuries later. Before we dive deep into the topic, there's an important detail to note. Even though Lilith is now remembered as the first woman of Adam, this idea isn't directly found in the Bible. It emerges from interpretations of gaps, contradictions, and myths that have circulated throughout history. To truly grasp Lilith, we need to take a few steps back and see what the texts really say. Lilith and the creation stories in Genesis. Everything kicks off in Genesis, the first book of the Bible. Interestingly, it presents two different creation narratives. In chapter 1, the text describes creation over 6 days. The climax of this process is the creation of humanity. God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Here, it seems like man and woman appear simultaneously, equal in the eyes of God. Then in chapter 2, the story unfolds differently. First, God creates man from the dust of the ground. Then he plants the Garden of Eden, creates the animals, but none of them serve as a suitable companion for man. Only then, as a conclusion, God makes man fall asleep, takes a rib from him, and creates a woman. When the man sees her, he exclaims, "This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh." These two versions have raised questions since ancient times. If in one story, man and woman are created together, but in the other, the woman appears later, could it be the same woman? Many interpreters concluded that it's not. Thus, the idea emerged that the first narrative referred not to Eve, but to another woman, Adam's first companion, named Lilith. The origin of Lilith in the Bible and beyond. But here's the question, who is Lilith? Does this name appear in the Bible? The answer is yes, but very briefly. In the book of Isaiah 34, in a prophecy against Edom, the text describes a desolate land inhabited only by wild animals, and there appears a figure called Lilith, translated in some versions as owl, night creature, or even desert witch. In Hebrew, it's written as Lilith. This single mention is loaded with mystery, so much so that throughout translations, the term has been understood in different ways. The Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Bible, transformed Lilith into a kind of centaur. The Vulgate, the Latin translation, translated it as Lamia, a mythological creature that seduced and devoured children. These variations aren't coincidental. Lilith was already known outside the Jewish tradition. To truly understand her origin, we need to look at ancient Mesopotamia. Lilith in Mesopotamia. In Sumerian and Akkadian cultures, there were already figures called Lilu, male, and Lilith, female. They were spirits of the desert and night, associated with disease, infertility, and the death of infants. Texts, dating back nearly 4,000 years, speak of these entities. A famous example appears in the Epic of Gilgamesh. According to a poem, a Lilith inhabited a sacred tree of the goddess Inanna. When Gilgamesh defeats a dragon living there, the Lilith flees desperately to the desert, a place that would become her domain. Amulets found in the region also invoked protection against Lilith. Many were used during childbirth to prevent her from attacking the mother or the child. Some visual representations show Lilith as a winged figure, with bird-like feet, surrounded by owls and lions, creatures associated with night and ferocity. In other words, Lilith was already feared centuries before the Bible. Judaism, upon encountering these traditions, absorbed part of this imagery. Lilith in Jewish tradition. It wasn't until much later, in medieval rabbinic tradition, that Lilith earned the title of first woman of Adam. The most famous text is the Alphabet of Ben Sira, written around the 8th or 10th century CE. In it, God creates man and woman from the same clay. The man is Adam, and the woman is Lilith. However, the two soon enter into conflict. Lilith refuses to be submissive and demands equality. When Adam insists on dominating her, She utters the sacred name of God, gains wings, and escapes to the Red Sea, where she begins to dwell with demonic spirits and give birth to hundreds of children each day. Adam, dissatisfied, seeks help from God. 3 angels are sent to bring Lilith back, but she refuses. As punishment, she loses 100 children each day. In return, she promises that whenever she sees the names of these 3 angels on amulets, she will leave the children alone. This legend thus explained the Jewish custom of using protective objects against the threat of Lilith. Lilith in the Middle Ages and modern feminism. In Jewish tradition, Lilith continued to be feared. It was believed she could attack men alone, especially at night, in sexual dreams. This also associated her with the incubi and succubi of medieval European tradition. But centuries later, her image underwent a radical transformation. In the 1960s and 70s, with the rise of Jewish feminism, Lilith was reinterpreted, not as a demon, but as a symbol of female resistance. After all, according to the myth, she was the first woman to refuse submission, preferring to leave paradise rather than live in inequality. From then on, Lilith became an inspiration for books, studies, and even a feminist Jewish magazine, created in 1976, called Lilith Magazine, which still exists today. Conclusion. The story of Lilith is both ancient and ever renewed. She has been a malevolent spirit of Mesopotamia, a night creature of the Bible, a sexual demon in medieval Judaism, and more recently, an icon of freedom and rebellion. All of this shows how a single figure can take on different meanings throughout history, depending on the needs and values of each era. Lilith remains a character full of mystery, contradiction, and symbolic strength. If you resonated with this inspiring story, don't forget to share this video with someone who needs to know about the Bible. Hit that notification bell, subscribe to the channel, and give us a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next video with more inspiring stories like this one.